At the moment, these skeins cost about $8.99 per each. per each. Hello friends! Welcome back to another To Dye with KnitPicks. My name is Gina, and I'm the dyer behind the little foxes. Today we'll be dyeing up KnitPicks Hawthorne yarn. This yarn is 80% superwash fine Highland wool and 20% polyamide or nylon. It is a fingering weight yarn that is about 357 yards per 100 grams, and if you haven't noticed yet, it is a 2-ply yarn. I have actually knit with their Hawthorne yarn before, their pre-dyed one, and it's the only 2-ply yarn I've ever used because I honestly don't ever gravitate towards 2-ply. I don't like it as much. It's usually a little stiff, and I feel like you can really see the texture through like the finished product, and it's not 100% my thing, but I've seen so many hand-dyed 2-ply yarns that just look really nice, so maybe this is the day that I change my mind about 2-ply. Let's find out together. So I'm going to start by taking the band off of one of these to open it up. Let's see. The thing that I don't love about the KnitPicks Bear yarn, and it's probably because I'm just kind of lazy, but there are only ever 2 ties on the yarn already. One of them is just a random tie to prevent tangling, and then the other one is the beginning and end yarn of the skein. I should probably add another one because, I don't know, I'm always worried about yarn tangling, but for the sake of this video, I'm not going to. I'm just going to dye it the way it comes with only their 2 ties. Let's see if this is a mistake or if it goes pretty well. I also wanted to mention really quick, I forgot earlier, but at the moment these skeins cost about $8.99 per each. But yeah, which is pretty good for single yarn that isn't bought like at wholesale price. I think that that's a pretty decent price for what you get. So we'll see how it dyes now. And maybe it is a good price or not. Today we're going to try a bunch of blue things. So for the tonals, I want to make a purpley blue. So I'm going to use lilac and turquoise mixed together. We'll see if it works out. And for the variegated, I'm going to start with a base of bright aqua and maybe pour on or speckle on some slate blue and then speckle later with mouse gray. We'll see if things change, but that is the current plan for now. Into more purple. That is way too dark. Huh. We're starting over for that one. We're changing the tonal up to periwinkle and gonna see what happens. Might mix that with bright aqua though. Better. Ladies and gentlemen, please prepare for my biggest failure of this video. I've used this purple so many times and I thought it would be more purple, but on this blue it looks red and I hate it. I decided covering it up would not really work because I would see the red and the blue still, so instead I tried to change the whole base of the yarn by just soaking it in a darker blue. And it worked. Time for the same technique but with bright pink this time, because pink still solves things, right? a time is because if there's any excess dye left, like from speckling, it could affect the whole soaking water and then end up on other parts of the skein that you did not want it. Fortunately, there was no dye coming off of these skeins, so they all get to sit together and I'm just washing my pan. Ta-da! Our final skeins! Look at these. As always with dyeing, I feel like I've ruined the skein until it's dry. And then sometimes I still think that way. But with these, I really love the way they came out. I guess they're not super blue, but that's okay, right? For the tonals though, I think that this actually was the exact color that I was going for that whole time that I was blending random dyes together, and now I don't have a recipe for this, but I will probably try to recreate it at some point. It's so perfect, like light blue, small amounts of purple. But I will say one thing that I really liked about the tonal specifically is that, and this could be the dyes that I use, the specific dyes, but it's pretty solidly colored. I know there's some glares that are showing up lighter, but for the most part it's not as like tonally. That's probably not the best word to use. It's more of a like semi-solid than a tonal, I would say. I do love how tonals have like different variations in the skein and stuff, but I think that this one was pretty nicely solid. Let's open up one of the variegated. I'm going to take my time, obviously, because it doesn't want to open up. So this yarn definitely does take dye pretty nicely. Let's see. Can zoom in. I'll say that I like the way these speckles towards the end came out. They did disperse a little more than I'm used to. I have used this dye before in the same speckling technique, and they are usually a little crisper than this, but I think that this still looks really nice. I think that it being 2-ply does allow the dye to spread a little bit differently. So you can see like how long this dye like kind of clumped together in one spot. But other spots it is more like true speckles. I would say that as far as liking 2-ply, I still don't. But if you are someone who does like 2-ply, I would still recommend this yarn specifically. I think the quality is really nice. Again, there haven't been any potential like felting issues. I don't think, well, now that I've done this, obviously this is a mistake, but it really didn't get too tangled in the yarn, in the dye pot. Usually it'll can get like a little more tangled since it's like free flowing through the water more. And I don't think that really happened. Of course, don't do this to it like I am now, but yeah, I would definitely recommend this yarn base to any who like 2-ply yarn. If you want to dye 2-ply, this is a really nice quality yarn. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about their Hawthorne yarn. Have you used this before? Would you be interested in dyeing it? But yeah, let me know what you think. It has a really nice shine to it as well. Let me know what you think about Hawthorne. Are you interested in dyeing this yarn now? Another thing I noticed about this yarn in particular, probably because it's only 2-ply, is that it did tend to get more of these like little curls if you don't like pull the yarn tight enough. I don't think it's unwinding, but it did tend to like curl up more, bunch up more. You can see there's another one here that just kind of, okay, you can't really see. It just twists more with the yarn around it. But for the most part, I don't think that that's actually an issue, especially once you cake it up and start like knitting with it. But yeah, let me know what you thought about today's video. If you have any suggestions for what base you want me to dye next, let me know. If you have any colors that you want me to use next time, feel free to drop that in the comments as well, and I will try to stick close to it. I know we kind of strayed from blue this time after I got annoyed at myself for no reason in the beginning, but I'm really happy with how these turned out, and I hope you enjoyed this. Take care. Bye, guys.